What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros podcast. All right, Josh. So today's the day. All right, we're gonna finally close a loop. All right, that's if you know, you know. If you know that movie, you know. Close the loop. I don't know if you know, Josh. You give me a
Looper.
face like you're not sure.
It's Looper. What do you mean?
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. Okay. I'm just making sure. You kind of took a pause there. Like, you had to think about it for a second. I don't know.
I remember it.
Okay. Well, we are closing the loop today in a different way. Obviously, we do TV shows, movies, topics, all that good stuff. Last time we kind of left off, we left a TV show unfinished. And that was because, well, we had to do a mid-season review. I think we actually did a mid-season review episode early, so we basically have to do the tail end, which was episodes 4 through 8. But for the most part, it's gonna be exciting to speak about with you, Josh, to know if it got a little better for you. Because you know what, when you talk to me and you ask me about this particular show that we're gonna be discussing in a second, and I give you a little bit, not like a big old hoorah, I don't give you the biggest hoopla, but I give you like, it was cool. You like, man. I'm just like, dude, why? Is that not what you do to me?
You're a little too harsh.
Is that not what you do to me? Tell these people, is that not what you do to me? You hit me with the...
No. I'm just like, you're a little too harsh, bro. That's it.
What? Okay, well, we're going to get to the bottom of what is too harsh. You know what I'm saying? This is not that kind of video. If that's what you're looking for, turn away now. Josh, let them know what we're discussing today.
We are finishing up our season review of Invincible Season 4.
Mark, take a night off.
We don't get to take a night off. If I'd actually killed Angstrom the first time, so many people would still be alive. I'll do anything to stop that from happening again.
It's not who you are, Mark. But trauma like that breaks people.
So, Invincible Season 4. We've made it all this way. And you know what? Invincible, I'm going to just kind of, if you've heard I think we've done the second, third season. We didn't get around to the first season because we didn't have our podcast at the time. Maybe we should get around to doing that. Maybe a full series review would probably be in order. We could probably go by the seasons instead of episodes. But that's besides the point. Ideas for another day, Josh. Ponder. But for the most part, this show kind of reminds me of a different show. From the same spot, Amazon, where they basically had a killer first season and has just been basically trying to chase that hype ever since, in my opinion. I don't know if you already know the show that I'm talking about.
I feel like I do know what you're talking about. Is it another superhero show?
It might be.
Yeah.
A show that basically, two shows that basically came out at the height of like the superhero genre, and they were like, hey, you know what? We're gonna parody that. We're gonna parody that shit hard. Apparently, Invincible though has been around for years, and apparently people are trying to make you believe that it's had motion before. I don't know, the year 2020 or 2018, right? That's when the first season basically dropped, I believe, right? Or 2021.
Yeah.
They want you to believe like there was more motion before the 2020s when it came to Invincible, just because it was on a Paul t-shirt in the Paul movie, and then it was also, I believe it was in The Walking Dead as well, but I believe that's an Eric Kirkman production as well, so I'm not too sure, but Invincible's here, and it's been kind of missing for some people. Obviously, we've had those gripes. We've already kind of discussed, like I said, the first 3 episodes, so some of those gripes are probably going to carry on to this episode. But, we always hope for the end season to be a lot better than the beginning season, right, Josh?
Right.
All right. After reviewing the beginning season and after walking away from the last episode we did with the beginning first 3 episodes, obviously, if you guys want our full thoughts on those episodes, go check those out. But we're gonna do the tail end episodes. How do you feel now today? Like after kind of giving it some time, letting those 3 episodes simmer. Episode 4 came around and whatnot. Like, how do you feel a little bit about this show now?
I'm still not completely moved. I mean, it has cool moments, and I was in shock for certain things to happen, but I still don't feel as I did after the first season, where like oh, Omni Man left Mark, the world was in shambles, things like that. Like I still don't feel that. I still haven't felt that. I don't think it's been the same. It kind of it feels kind of like yeah, like they're kind of chasing the same high, but also in the sense that like we keep hearing that oh, it's about to get crazy, it's about to get crazy, and then it gets crazy for like an episode or two, and then we still
We,
get
we get distracted by a
6 other
totally different
episodes.
thing
Right.
altogether, huh? Like, it just, like, we're so locked in here, and then we have something else to worry about somewhere else in the
Fucking,
next
and then
episode.
the sequids pop up, and you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
And then you go to hell, and you're like, well, why? Why are we here right now? Especially when exactly what you said is supposed to, people that read the comic books are like, oh my god, he's getting the blue and black suit.
Just for him to
Okay,
still get his ass whooped.
he just fucking wears the suit. That's it. He doesn't really, nothing different happen. At least when Tobey Maguire, like when they were like making a big deal about the black suit, it was like he did a little dance. He wasn't acting like himself. He was actively a different guy. You know what I mean? And Mark was just a little pissed off, but still getting his ass whooped. It's like, little bro, why are you so angry? You know what I'm saying? But that was last season, right? We're in season 4, not in season 3. Believe he started with the black suit though, right? Started and then it kind of went away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man. How we? Yeah. I feel like you're kind of agreeing with me with some of the stuff right now. I just.
Well, I
feel
mean,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
That's the thing. I'm gonna have my gripes, and my gripes aren't gonna change. It's just you're a little too harsh, bro. That's it.
Sometimes. 100% on the tomato meter, 86% on the popcorn meter for season 4. 100% is crazy.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
I am. I don't know. I don't think so either.
86%, sure. I think everyone's kind of enjoying it right now. But 100%, I don't know. I can't help but feel like this show sets up things up. And I was trying to think about it. I was thinking about it all week, or I mean, so far up until recording, where I was like, huh, why does it feel like this? And so I think I found the best way to put it. So when we get there, we'll talk about it. But I don't agree with the 100%. I'd probably give it the same thing, like 80.
80, like passable, but not spectacular. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the writing isn't completely sound. I don't know if I agree with that. That's the thing.
Okay. I'm kind of on the train with you. I wouldn't put it to 80, like with the popcorn meter. I'm actually surprised that it's at 80 with the popcorn meter too. 100% on the with the critic side is kind of crazy, but there is only 24 reviews, so we gotta kind of account for that as well. I gotta say, like, I would give it at least a 70 on the tomato meter. Like, if actual people gave a shit about the show and wanted it to be taken somewhat seriously compared to, like, other cartoons or whatever. And then 86%, come on. I've been seeing the outcries. I do hear on the outside that people do enjoy it, but I still hear the gripes. I just feel like people are kind of excited to just have some kind of adult animation show that they're not afraid to, like, show blood and everything like that. But, like, at the cost of animation is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I feel like some things are just unnecessary and it pulls away.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll probably dive into, like you said, we'll probably dive into that when we get to that part. But I don't see this numbers matching up at all. Like, this kind of weird. It's way out of alignment in my opinion. But, when Rotten Tomatoes doesn't agree with me, it's rigged. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm writing. I'm sticking with it. Stephen Yu comes back as Invincible. J.K. Simmons, Sandra Oh as Debbie, Gillian Jacobs as Adam Eve, Walter Goggins as Cecil, so on and so forth. We actually had a lot of different cast members, where we had Zachary Quinto as the robot in the beginning of season 1, I believe, into season 2. He's gone now. He's not the robot anymore. It's a completely different actor. We've basically moved on from like the main cast being like star-studded, except for basically our two leads, which is kind of crazy. I'm pretty sure that's what kind of costing this show, but another topic for down the road for sure. Josh, what do we think about the casting? I don't think this season had like a big spectacular like, oh, like somebody's gonna be coming to voice this person. Like I think what season 3 had Aaron Paul, and people were super excited about that because it was like, oh, Aaron Paul. But like this one, I don't think this one had a voice actor to do that, right?
Yeah, no. Not really. Not. I mean, Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell as Satan is probably the only thing I can think of.
Oh, okay, that's probably one. Yeah.
They had Bruce Campbell. They had the guy who, playing Thrag. Megatron made an appearance. Like the voice actor for Megatron made an
Oh,
appearance.
that's true. That's true. Like a brief cameo.
Yeah. So I mean, not the biggest people, but also well recognized. I guess.
Yeah. Obviously, we still got the voice of Optimus as well, so that was like a nice little reunion for fans that noticed that and all that stuff. So pretty nice stuff, I guess. But like I said, I feel like Aaron Paul was like a red carpet rollout. Like people were super excited for him, like episodes before. Like they were like, "Oh yeah, Aaron Paul's gonna be there." You know what I mean? And I mean, people are excited for Bruce Campbell, but I mean, I don't feel like the hype was as high, I guess. But that's just me. Did we like this season's cast at least? Did we like Bruce Campbell? The voice acting. I think you said it yourself too. The writing wasn't amazing or superb, but what I like is that Stephen Yu gives his all, even though it's still unfortunate that the animation can't keep up with what he's basically putting down.
Right. And it's just unfair. But yeah, no, I mean, writing and the way I would say the pacing for the show was also kind of an issue. But for the most part, I enjoyed everybody.
Okay.
I think the cast did great.
All right.
My favorites. I mean, I know you'll disagree, but my favorites were, the Debbie and Omni Man, J.K. Simmons and what's her name?
Sandra Oh.
Yeah, Sandra Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I like their little back and forth too. It's just more, like I said, something that is supposed to be emotional. Like I can't help but just like look back at like season 1 when like Omni Man was like pummeling his son into the fucking mountainside, and like the facial expressions. It turned into a meme. That's how like good it was. Like the facial expressions and everything just were different. When he was fighting what's his name? Immortal, like for the second time. Like that was really good, and he was actually scared because he was also worried about his son being eaten and all that stuff. Like there was really good stakes when it came down to like season 1, and like the way animation basically helped out with portraying the emotion that the actors were giving out. And unfortunately these later seasons just can't keep up. Like I said, they're not giving the animators enough time, probably not putting enough money behind the show, or at least the money that they are using, they're giving it to like people that are only there for a cameo and then they leave. Like, come on now, let's talk about that. We'll talk about it in a second though. Season 4, episode 4, like I said, we did the first 3 episodes, so go check that out if you guys want to check it out. But we're going to start from episode 4 all the way up to 8. Josh, let's start breaking it down. We got to talk about these episodes. Season 4, episode 4, Hearn. Let's talk about it.
This episode follows Mark going through a crisis. He goes to talk to Art, tells him that I think I need a new suit, different threads, clear. And this whole episode follows him basically going to hell, getting his mind right with the help of the Damien Darkblood, which was the demon that got sent to hell in the first season. If you can remember him, they really make that a point. Remember him. They have their little side quest. Budget was saved for some fucking reason, and then he gets home, ditches the blue, and puts on his classic colors. That's about it.
All right, like I said, the blue and black suit was there up until like episode 3, episode 4. For some reason, Invincible was in hell. They needed his help out of anybody that they could have used. They needed him, so they decided to drag him there. Filler episode, unnecessary. Gotta say, waste of animation, waste of voice acting, waste of Bruce Campbell cameo, 100%. I don't understand why they thought that this would be the storyline to go down, especially when things are we're 4 seasons deep. Like, we're supposed to be in some hot shit. Like, if this was gonna happen, this should have happened probably in season 2. A little build up. Well, you can kind of excuse it a little bit. We're deep. You know what I'm saying? We're super deep. So I don't know. I just feel like this one isn't even worth discussing too much. It's just filler episode.
Right. I mean, all he really does is get the yellow suit back at the end, which is what makes it worthwhile. But other than that, I mean, I was kind of pissed. They were like, "Oh, it's guarded. The crown is guarded by Cerberus, and all this and that," and then we don't get a glimpse of that whole thing. This episode pissed me off so much. But other than that, yeah, I guess it's really a nothing burger.
It really was a nothing burger. Like I said, except or like how you said, besides the suit change, but couldn't we have done that in a more compelling way that like moved the story forward and not kind of just left you stuck for a whole episode? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Can we just do that? Is that not just a possible thing for us to have in season 4, episode 4 of like not even this ain't even episode 1. This ain't season 2. This is like we're deep in there, man. Like I said, and here we are. Episode 5. Give us a moment, Josh.
The war begins. Mark and Oliver head up to space. They go. They're basically heading toward the coalition of planets base. They get stopped by Conquest and a couple of Viltrumites. A fight breaks out. Invincible and Conquest round 2. I think this episode. I think that basically sums it up. This what happens at the end of this episode leaves them stranded for a couple of. I think they said like a month or 2.
Yeah, it was about like
before
2 months.
before rolling up to continue the fight that they were supposed to get to, which I mean, crazy amount of time for sure. But that basically sums up the episode. And I don't want to give it away because I do think this episode was a highlight, or at least the last like 10 minutes was a highlight. But I mean, that's the thing. We're getting little nuggets of good, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair.
I mean, this episode 2, it was good, and I like that Conquest came back, and the consequences of what Cecil did basically came back to bite everybody in the ass. I appreciate the action sequences we were getting with it, but still, like I said, animation was unfortunately not the best. And when you get something good, it's like amazing, and you're just like, wow, I wish we can get that more. And it kind of leaves a sense of desire to be had, right? But I did enjoy this episode. It just at one point you start seeing the beginning of what the war is, right, and all that, and I'm just like, man, there is nobody. If this is like the coalition and they're supposed to have like so much support, there's really nobody around. It was like the beginning of a war, and it seemed like they didn't have like the budget to kind of show everybody, right? And that kind of hurts. And I mean, I'm gonna prove my point in the next episode, but at least with this one, I mean, when I first seen this episode, I was like, please tell me that they're saving animation for the next couple of episodes. Spoiler, they're not. Keep going.
they do their best. Herm was a waste of space. I like, if you're gonna save budget, don't do a lame ass episode like that, because you still have to animate that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah,
that could have been like a funny gag to tell somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, you remember when I went to hell?
Right. If I get 10 episodes, strict budget, I am not putting in a filler episode. I'm sorry. It's not happening.
Mm-hmm. And so to kind of jump to episode 5 from that episode, first of all, it kind of, like I said, you're spinning your own wheels. And then when you get there, you're just like, okay, we're here. What is there? And like I said, the fight was cool. But if you look past the fight, like around him, I'm like, okay, well, why wouldn't there have been more people to help out with stopping him?
Yeah, the only ones that could put up a fight were the Viltrumites that they had.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, Alan is useless. Tech Jacket was useless. Yeah, everybody that they were supposed to have was useless. Like I would have enjoyed to see a Battle Beast versus Conquest.
Right. Like they should have been there, or like Theta should have been there, or like something. I understand that they were basically gearing up to goal at that moment, and they were already like on their way to meet up with the rest of them. But it just seems like they if you're picking up important people, you would send more than just a few. First of all, you wouldn't send all your important people on one ship and just let them go. If you have like a coalition and there's so many people, you would send a couple of ships to kind of go with them. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have been the main characters versus Conquest again. It should have been a few other people. I always just think of like the Clone Wars and the Clone Wars animation, because that was like real war shit. Like where you see like people in the background getting hurt. Like clones would try to go up against the main bad guy, and they would get slaughtered on the side or whatever. Blah blah blah. Like that's what I was kind of expecting on the lead up to actually meeting Thrag. No, we got a devil episode, and then we get a cool, decent fight with the main characters in Conquest yet again, but on a barren planet because can't afford to do it on a citywide destruction budget this time. I don't think.
Right. So I mean, I don't hate it, but it definitely has its faults.
Yeah.
I do think the ending was probably the best part of it all. And then, like you said, we're back kind of on a slow pace
The fact that it's
with
one
the
of the
next
highest
episode.
rated episodes too, I'm just like, I kind of feel like
It's only rated that way because of the ending, dude.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Is like that people are starving for crumbs,
Right.
which is the way I got to see it. Season 4, episode 6. You look horrible.
Mark is in a coma from what happened to him and Conquest. They were Mark and Oliver. I mean, not Mark. Oliver and Omni Man were basically taking care of him. They were bonding, which I kind of enjoyed. We got to see their alone time. I just don't think it should be happening smack down in the middle of a war. Um, Alan is still on his way to the coalition of planets. They get there like at the very end. Um, Mark pulls through, and then they join the fight. They join the fight, take out the Viltrumites from the coalition of planets hit face, and then yeah, that basically sums up the episode. They struggle to carry a ship, which is fucking insane to me. Yeah, no, this episode was not the worst, but it also wasn't exactly the best either because you spend a good chunk of it watching over Mark, and then you spend the last chunk of it with barely any action.
Yeah, there were, I enjoyed this episode because in the previous episode they kind of give you that nugget that Oliver and Omni-Man are having their issues, and so like they have to talk it out while Invincible is recovering and all that stuff. I enjoyed it a little bit, but again, like I said, those are the moments where I'm like, animation should really have been pushed here to kind of give you that emotional grounding, especially with like the facial expressions and all that stuff. And it just felt like, not only did it feel rushed, but the animation felt rushed. Like everything about it just felt rushed to the point where it was like you didn't sit with it, you couldn't feel the emotional weight. Everything just felt like, oh, we got to get back to the war pretty soon, and this is to save budget, time, and kind of give people their fix. This is what we're gonna put here. Enjoyable, but it didn't have to happen on the planet. I feel like you could have had this issue since planet Earth. They didn't really plant those seeds. Like obviously they were kind of saying like he was talking to Debbie in a certain way or whatever, blah blah blah. But like I don't feel like, well, I mean, timing wise and like the way that the show is moving, I just feel like it was kind of lame to kind of put them just sitting there when it could have been happening for multiple episodes and possibly tied up in a bigger explosive moment at that time. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So that's all I have. I mean, for that episode, I did, like I said, I enjoyed the back and forth between them, and then they're like, okay, well, it's time to get back into the action by the end of the episode. And so, like I said, you kind of don't get to sit with it much. Unfortunate. See, episode 7. Don't do anything rash. Josh, before you break down this episode, I'm gonna let you do it. But we've heard the laughter, the chit chat when it came down to this episode. the animation struggles the most with this episode. Josh, let them know what happens in this episode, and we got to start talking about it quick.
Okay, we get a couple of things happen in this episode. We get Thrag's backstory, which is kind of nice. We get the team on their way to Viltrum to handle the rest of the Viltrumites. Which again, I mean, for a little side note, but like for a big battle, you only call in like 10 of your best people, and we've seen them before. You don't call the rest of the 40 that are out there. I don't know what the fuck was up with that. Um, they get to Viltrum, they fight, they take on it's Viltrumites versus the Coalition at this point, which is Mark, Omni-Man, Oliver,
Ship and like all the main characters with like Tech Jacket.
right. Battle Beast, Tech Jacket, our people, the people that they recruited for this big fight. The GOAT MVP of the whole damn thing was the Space Rider. Him and that fucking gun. They fight. Thrag talks to Omni-Man, offers a truce, tells him, "Hey, we can rebuild. This is our home." Omni-Man's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." So they end up fighting. Thrag whoops their ass. Viltrumite gets destroyed. Oh, Viltrum gets destroyed, and then Thrag beats their ass for destroying the planet. So yeah.
I told you.
All right, keep going. That was it.
I told you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Got a video right there, waiting to be queued up. But like how you were saying, this is where everything's supposed to culminate before you're basically left with the cliffhanger in episode 8. This one is not only the culmination of all the events of this season to basically hit the fan with its major villain. It's also the culmination of all the issues that we were talking about with the CGI. And right. Like I said, basically the biggest villain is possibly Amazon and the producers of this show who refuse to get more animators and to kind of help this ongoing issue and problem that people make TikToks about that we're going to probably talk about in a second. First of all, I got to say the interaction with Thrag and everything was cool. I know I had an issue with Jeffrey D. Morgan's we just talked about him a second ago. Conquest. Yeah, I had an issue with like him voicing him. I like Thrag's voice. Do I have an issue with the way they animated him? Kind of. Like he's not very menacing to me, unfortunately. The things he does is pretty scary though, I gotta say. Everything was nice, tight with this one, but like I said, CGI struggles where there's supposed to be a war and multiple people and like I said, like Coalition supposed to be helping. Just our main characters who are able to basically survive every single thing. Like Tech Jacket is able to survive a 10 Viltrumite encounter, which I just find kind of baffling. And then you also, like I said, you have the CGI hiccups or the animation hiccups where Viltrumites basically disappear in thin air. You have Invincible turn into Paul at one point for like a second. And then you have some clean animation where, you see it in this little picture right here where it says episode 7, but you have the impact frame from when Invincible punches him in his dome skin. You have like that little scary, like, what the fuck? Like you did nothing to me. So like they pick and choose, but then you have certain episodes like, Herm. Josh, did you see these little hiccups that were kind of circulating with this episode?
I mean, I saw the usual ones. I know a lot of people were like scanning over this and they found a lot more. Like that pole thing, I didn't notice the first time until someone pointed it out. So, I mean, I just noticed the basics. I noticed the JPEG fighting. I noticed the lack of animation. I noticed like things like that. But I never noticed Paul's face, and I never noticed that Viltrumite just popping out of thin air.
That's the one that I noticed on my first watch when he just kind of like disappeared in thin air. I thought they like punched him to the point where like he just like darted into space. And I was just like, that's interesting. So that's like my perception of it when it first happened. And then when I saw everything circulating online, I was like, oh, they just did not have the budget to do it. But like I said, I pulled up this clip. Let's just watch all the mistakes. Shout out to Huckage who put this video together.
Yesterday, sacrifices need to be made for these impact frames. We don't get them for free, and you got people appalled by the sight of that. We need Viltrumites disappearing in space. just so we can have Frag looking this tough. Now everyone making the argument saying we shouldn't have to sacrifice, but I'm telling you now, we do. This episode wasn't rated the highest one of all time for no reason. Whoever was able to find Mark looking like that was just looking for a problem. And let's be honest, there are a few animation flaws here and there. But does it matter when this is looking tough? I don't know, and I've seen someone say the reason why their mouths aren't moving in space and their voice is just out loud is so they can pay the voice actors more. No need to split the money with the animators animating their mouths. But let's be real, watching this moment, who is looking at Mark? Thaddeus just got snapped in half. That's the most important part of this whole moment. But yeah, I don't know, some fans are just looking for problems.
That's a good argument to be had right now. Like, that's kind of, I was making the point that you guys are making sacrifices for certain things. Explain the devil episode. Explain it, please. Like, why do we need that episode? You know what I mean? Sacrifices need to be made for impact frames. Are you fucking shitting me right now? That's crazy. I can't.
Impact frames should be the norm. You shouldn't have to sacrifice for any of that. Oh, this looks tough, and it's like 2 seconds of a frame. What do you mean?
We're getting that
You're
shit
telling okay.
In 1999 with Goku and shit like that. That was crazy.
You go the 90s animators for those kinds of shows were peak. You know what I mean? And it's like hand drawn. Like, I don't understand that. But so what he's saying is, if you go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, Gordon Ramsay doesn't cook your food, so your food comes out bad. But you're at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
No, your food is cooked. That's what he's saying. The food is cooked, but you got no utensils. You ain't got no napkin. Okay, your cup might be water. It might be tequila. You don't know, but you shouldn't worry about that because Gordon Ramsay's making your food.
Right. But it's like, no. If I'm getting Gordon Ramsay level shit, I should be getting all the stops. You shouldn't have to cut corners. Yeah. I'm eating a fancy ass burger on a paper plate. That's what you're telling me? Fuck no.
And
that's not how that works.
I think and I told you this back in like season 2 because I think this is when they revealed it, when they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna just be showing frames of like the background and the camera moving and not the voices going or whatever. I even forgot that they didn't speak the whole time. I was like, how the hell are they even communicating with each other during that episode? And I was like,
no, it was Alan. Through Alan, I guess. I don't know.
Alan was just like, I'm just going to bridge the gap. But like, I swear in, what was it, season 2, when he came down to Earth, he was like, whoa. When Immortal came to like try to fight him and shit like that, wasn't he literally like, I can't do 2 people at one time?
Right. They must have fixed that and not told anybody. I don't know, dude. So I don't know what that was about.
That's another thing. Like, you're having this showdown and they're not even making facial expressions. They're barely even talking. They're not even talking. They're not speaking at all. And barely making facial expressions.
Exactly. So what are we doing really,
Giving money to high-end voice actors or at least high-end actors when you should be giving it to voice actors who can do the role possibly for a little bit cheaper too, and give the animators a good cut of money so that the things could look good. Instead, we're spending big bucks on J.K. Simmons, and like I said, I know a lot of people were like rooting for Thrag, but who plays him? Is he a big guy? Like I feel like I don't know who he is.
What's his name?
Are you asking me? I don't know. What's his name?
They said I can't remember. I remember they mentioned it. I just can't remember what it was.
Lee Pace.
Yeah, Lee Pace.
Okay. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He played Ronan. He was Greg in Bodies, Bodies, Foundation Day. He was in Running Man. He was the bad guy under the mask in Running Man, the one with the glasses. And he played Ronan. Okay. All right. I know who he is. Like I said, Lee Pace playing him, cool. Sounds great. Should we get a good, decent actor who costs a lot of money in lieu of a cheaper voice actor who can do possibly, if not a better voice because they have training for it, and then be able to give us a good animated show? Like, it's just not, does not compute.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's easier ways to cut around the budget if that's the case, and one of them is not releasing a filler episode knowing that you got 8 episodes to make.
Did I like Thrag ripping off Theta's head? Yeah, sure. Cool. Did I like Mark and the gang ripping Viltrum in half? Sure. Cool. I'm not
But
gonna
again,
make
that's all.
sacrifices for something that I should be getting. It's not like we're watching the show because you guys said that it's supposed to be good. If it's not good and you guys can't make it good without sacrificing certain things that, in my opinion, are important, cancel the motherfucker.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. If supply isn't meeting demand, oh, okay. I'm fucking. It's like when they, that whole thing where they're like, oh, if you buy something online, it's not technically yours. They can revoke it from you at any moment. But it's like, no, I paid for that hard-earned cash. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. You shouldn't be sacrificing. You're right. You shouldn't be sacrificing for common shit. Impact frames are literally nothing. You know what I mean? They're the bare minimum of stuff. Hair flow when you're flying is bare minimum stuff.
Exactly, and I'm just gonna put this up as like a reference as well because this is another. I'm just gonna make a point about the whole getting a big name actor for something that shouldn't really need it because the video game's coming out, right? And there's been a lot of people that were like, "Oh, Stephen Yu's not voice acting Invincible in this one." Like I couldn't even tell. So I'm gonna pull it up and we'll see if we can tell the difference or not, real quick.
Dad, please. You don't want to do this.
I came to this planet for one reason, to conquer it.
That makes no sense. But what about Mom? And your friends? And me?
Your mother, the others, they don't matter. But you, this can be your destiny too.
No. I can't do that.
Can't or won't.
Mark, we got reinforcements on the way. Just hold him off.
Way ahead of you, Cecil.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
darn
good.
voice acting, right?
Half the cast isn't back either. I mean, it's not just Steven Yeun. It's like J.K. Simmons is back, but I don't think what's his name? Like the dude that plays Cecil, I don't think he's playing Cecil in the game. Like it's a good chunk of people not coming back for the game.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, we could get people that sound like him, but just voice actors that are cheaper. But it is.
And it raises the
But,
question.
yeah.
It raises the question because if I'm playing the game, which I think I might not buy it outright. You know what I mean? Because $60 for a game these days is
If you let me
crazy.
know, I'll play with you.
Right. But if it goes on special and I'm like, okay, I'll drop $30 for it, whatever. And I have a better experience playing this game. And it's like the voice acting's better, the action is better. I mean, I'm creating the action at that point, but like I'm getting all this stuff from a video game on top of the voice acting being great. Why can't the show that this thing is supposed to be made from be any better?
Because we're getting filler episodes.
Why are we paying out of pocket for these motherfuckers?
Because we're getting filler episodes and expensive actors. But yeah, exactly. So if we could do it, exactly your point. If we could do it in a video game, why can't we just do it for the show? It's a good question. We should write to Amazon and let them know. But Josh, any pros to this episode? I mean, I did like the whole Omni-Man and Thrag thing. Don't get me wrong. Him creating a whirlpool with his punches is pretty cool. Seeing the beam actually be used on a Viltrumite was pretty nice. But like I said, like everything, these little nuggets were cool for me. But at least in the grand scheme of things, I'm just like, where's everybody else? Why is it just so empty? And why is nobody speaking? And why are people disappearing? And like I said, I'm not gonna put that Paul thing. I think that's funny on its own separate thing. But I didn't notice it because exactly that. I was noticing Thrag getting his head ripped off, not necessarily Invincible turning into Paul, but that's still an issue. And the fact that people were able to catch that, it's kind of crazy.
Right. And I know a lot of people were probably saying like, "Oh, it's like a joke at this point. Like they're messing with us and this and that." And it's like, so then they're taking time out of their budget to joke? Like, what do you mean? Why? What the fuck? Why would you do that?
Some people were even like, "Oh, isn't that just a darkened Invincible or not Invincible Omni Man without a mustache?" And I was just like, "Damn, that's crazy." But yeah, any pros for you though for this episode before we move on?
I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, I think what I enjoyed most about it, I mean, this whole basically up until now, the episodes is I think I like the scenes with Omni Man where he's just talking shit out. Like I enjoyed it when he did it with Debbie. I enjoyed it when he did it with Mark and Oliver. I even enjoy it when he's talking to Thrag. I think like even if J.K. Simmons sounds like dead as doornails, there's something about at least in that aspect of their characters, just him trying to like be better and like be like, no, this is wrong and all that stuff. I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's cool. It's cool. We got to see the fight. But I mean, when I'm more interested in the story and the story isn't storying, you know what I mean? It's just not working out.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like that's that thing where it's like I'm looking for this show. Like I said in the beginning season, in season one, it was peak, right? Like you had the
We
story.
had it all.
Yeah, story, animation, action, everything was there, right? You go down the road, you're here in season four, and you're just like, well, we're getting story, but it's half-assed, and then we're also getting action, but it's also half-assed, and so it's like everything's halfway through. You're like, well, I'm not satisfied because you're not giving me the full shebang. You know what I'm saying? Like in season one, there was like literal random pilots that were just getting murked. I feel like if that happened in season three, you wouldn't have had the budget to even put like little side characters like that getting murked or anything like that. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
it's unfortunate. But yeah, it's episode 8. Don't leave me hanging here.
Episode 8. After the battle said and done, injuries have been healed. It is time to go home. Everybody's going home. Or actually, no, that's not true. Mark and Nolan went home. Oliver got his shit kicked in minutes into the
With the
big battle
coalition.
with Thrag. So he stayed behind. He's in a test tube. Alan runs the coalition. Mark finds out um, that Eve was pregnant. She had an abortion. She got a little thick because she hasn't been using her powers. Um, Nolan and Debbie work things out. He says, "Hey, come with me. Let me give you a shot to raise Oliver, but also, you know, show you that I've changed this and that." Thrag shows up at the end. Oh, Mark's dealing with PTSD on top of the whole understanding that it's an abortion thing, so he's seeing Thrag everywhere, kind of murder his family.
Yeah.
But it's PTSD. He meets with Thrag for real. He shows up, tells him that we are gonna live among the earth, we populate our numbers, and it's either you let us or we flip this bitch around and we do what we do as Viltrumites. Mark's like, okay, well, I guess I'll let it happen. So now there's General Krieg, Anissa, and Lucan just living amongst the humans. Not a single care in the world. It's
Yeah.
been 2 weeks. They were able to make it happen in 2 weeks.
Mhm. And just so like we can kind of put it into perspective too. At the end of episode 7, they were looking for Thrag and them. They were like, well, where did they go? And they were immediately like, oh, he probably went to Earth. So they were kind of rushing back by episode 8, and obviously the ship only goes so fast. So Invincible was struggling with that whole PTSD thing and all that stuff. Decent story. Like I said, a little half-assed, and we could have. This is the one where I kind of feel a little conflicted. Maybe you can help me out here, right? So on one hand, obviously we're racing back home, and obviously there's the whole PTSD thing, right? In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, we're wasting money on animation and everything, already. Like, when are we gonna get to like shit actually happening and giving us that mean, cliffhanger that we're supposed to be getting? We're getting these little PTS glimpses and all that stuff from Mark because of everything he's been through or what he believes is going to happen if they wind up making it all the way to Earth. I understood that for like maybe one or two scenes or whatever, but like they played that out throughout the whole time, thinking that we're supposed to feel something for it. Me personally, like I said, with everything in the back of my mind by that episode, I was just more like, wow, we're wasting money on him, Thrag killing these side characters. And I know I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I wanted, but that's not what I wanted for the final episode when that's not supposed to be happening. You know what I'm saying? Like we're supposed to be seeing Mark go through, what I could only assume was a tough war for him, right? Like this wasn't supposed to be easy. So he nearly died. So like if that's the case, then maybe we should have went through, why go through PTSD things of like what's going to happen instead of like trying to help him work through what did happen. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I understand he's worried about it, but it just didn't.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I understand what you're saying, and I think this is what this is the problem this show has, where it has the pacing of like a comic book. You know what I mean? So I'm reading an arc. Okay, arc over. Next arc. Okay, a couple pages in. Next arc. Whatever. Right? And I know before I get the, oh, it's a comic book show. What do you expect? No, a show is still supposed to have layers and still, intertwine things. That's why it's a show. That's why Harry Potter, as dumb as it is getting a show so they can intertwine things and expand more on stuff. So the war should have lasted more than 2 episodes. You're telling me it lasted like a month, but we spent most of that month watching Oliver and Nolan.
Yeah, we saw little glimpses of like ships going to places to fight and all that stuff, but it wasn't like
Yeah,
it wasn't full blown war. Like you didn't see everything happen. Everything went
exactly.
really fast.
Exactly. And then you're telling us that with the people with Thrag and Krieg, you're telling me that they're losing numbers and that things are happening, but we're not seeing it. Telling me and seeing it are two different things. So if the war lasted like 2-3 episodes up until the end and then make the next season where he addresses Adam, Eve, all that stuff, we even cut to the middle, get to the virus,
Yeah.
whatever. That's the thing. Like this is the gripe I had with season 3, where like, he was like, where they're like, oh, the clone episode, or not the clone episode, the multiverse episode with all the marks and stuff should have lasted two episodes. That should have been like 7 or 6, 7, and then 8 with Conquest. You know what I mean? Like that should have lasted longer. These episodes need to last longer, but they wasted on people. They wasted on unnecessary filler episodes. They wasted it. They wasted on not talking, and then impact frames. Their story is moving at a comic book pace, not at a show pace. Does that make sense?
I understand that. I get that, and I see what you're saying 100%. And exactly that. It's not. It is a comic book show, but they're adapting the comic book show or the comic book into a animated show. It's not a. It's not meant to just be like, It's the same issue that we had with Superman, where everybody was like, "Oh yeah, you kind of get just thrown in there. It's supposed to be like a comic book, like going through chapters or whatever." And it's like, I don't vibe with that. Like, we need to have, I'm not saying that you need the whole. Well, obviously, if you're gonna want more weight, then either which way you want every single episode to tie together with every single one, not dinosaurs in one, and then we get the backstory of Viltrumites, and then Mark's kind of going crazy because he wants to kill. He a little bloodthirsty because he knows that he needs to put people down, and then you get hell.
Yeah. And these are like arcs and things that are happening in the span of an hour. You can't sit with nothing for an hour. Most movies take 2-3 hours, and that's just for Iron Man to learn not to be a fucking douchebag. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like, and there's things happening to these characters that are spanning between episodes. This is why I think when, like I said, when it comes to Omni Man and Debbie, and like them, I was waiting for them to talk. I was waiting for them to like interact with each other because it feels like they're getting the biggest like arc and story. Adam, Eve, and Mark, they're love interests because they're main characters. You get what I'm saying? But I still don't feel like we understand why Eve like
even
ticks
likes
the
him.
way she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I feel too. Because even when like she was like, I got an abortion, I was just like, right, right, and it's somehow Invincible's fault because he had to go save the universe because Viltrumites are coming through. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. See, and then yeah, and then we get to the whole point of like Thrag getting there and all that stuff, and I feel like this whole episode should have been like Thrag letting them
We,
know like we're around him, and then Mark trying to figure out like how to kind of like defuse it as quick as possible, and then leave us with the cliffhanger of like, was he able to do it or not? And then we get to the next season, and it's like, no, it's it's actually getting worse. The problem's getting worse. Whatever, blah blah blah, and we can move on from there. Obviously, I'm just kind of throwing things at the wall right now because it's quick, but I do think that for the most part, we should have had, you know Invincible looking for more places than just fucking Chicago and shit. You know what I mean? Like, Chicago's not the only place on Earth. Like, what if they were hiding in India or something? Or what if they were hiding in, China or some shit? You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me they have to go to Chicago? Like, that's just the only place that they could have went. And, luckily they did. But I'm just saying, like, that's not... if I was a superhero thinking, like, they're going to habitate my planet... I'm going to look everywhere. I'm not just going to look at one spot.
right. Bigger cities. I'd be like, okay, New York would be another one. You know what I mean? Just because its population's fucking huge. It has a lot of people, women. That's what they're, men and women. That's what they're looking for, right? I don't know. And that's the thing. I just don't think we sit with stuff the way we're supposed to. Like if every episode was kind of like that last 10 minutes of Conquest and Mark, like like where they're just going at each other and he's like ripping his insides out and all that stuff. If we could sit with that, we can sit with 2 or 3 episodes more of Mark explore of them doing the war, Mark having PTSD, yeah, and then the culmination of all that. I don't think we needed Mark seeing Thrag rip everybody in half 4 different times up through the episode just for him to pop up and be like, "Here's what we're doing." You know what I mean? I think we could have gotten that with Debbie. I think we could have gotten that with Adam Eve. I don't think we give a fuck if it happens to Cecil in them, and he shouldn't either. I don't think. I thought he fucking hated him.
That's another thing too. And even then, like,
And
wouldn't you have confronted him about the whole conquest thing?
exactly, that would have been number one. I'd have been like, okay, that I think after like seeing like my girlfriend is make sure everything's all right. Just going to him would be number two. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do you go to this guy?
I think the hardest.
You know he does shady shit.
I think the hardest scene of this episode had to be the Cecil and Nolan interaction.
Exactly, and that's just hard hitting shit because he's like, you shouldn't be on my fucking planet. You know what I mean? And all the man's just like, well, I'm changing. He's just like, I don't give a damn about your change. Go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I like the little line where he's like, I'm just remembering what happened here. He's like, on this planet or in this exact spot, and I was just like, damn. And then he like flipped it back on him later on, and I'm just like, damn. I'm like, Cecil, he could still rip your head off. I'm like, damn.
See, and like, and it's things like that between characters that I enjoy. We just don't get enough of that because we're focused on the next fucking scene and nerds eat up impact frames. No, a TV show, you're supposed to expand on these things and these feelings. The most hard hitting stuff about season 2 was literally Debbie reeling in from what Nolan did to her.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, like her world is fucking shattered. The man that she trusted for 20 years turned out to be an alien, and at the end of the day, called her a fucking pet. Like that is something we should be reeling with. Eve having an abortion, that should not just be sprung on us last episode, especially on Mark, and that his PTSD shouldn't have lasted 2 weeks. We should have been seeing him see horrific shit on top of his insides getting torn out. He should have been seeing Conquest way more than he should have been seeing Thrag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the person who basically put you on your ass. Like, don't get me wrong, Thrag was doing damage to him, but he didn't do enough damage like Conquest was doing to him. So, if anything, he gave him mercy. So that's kind of like, is what it
exactly. He was knocked out. He was already knocked out when he had him by the head.
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted it clean cut. You know what I mean? Clean, swift. He don't even got to think about it no more. The agony that he was feeling when Conquest was like digging in him, pause, like
That
that
should have
should
been,
be hit 10 times more.
yeah, that should have been the issue. That's what I was kind of leaning towards too. I was like, man, that should have been his PTSD problem. Like he looked down and he sees like all his guts coming out or something, and it's like Thrag and Conquest is there or something. You know what I mean? Like that could have been better, but it's like, oh no, we only have money for one person to show up, and that's gonna be Thrag,
Right.
unfortunately. Even though
Like
it is a
like
dream sequence and you can easily have anybody there, it is what it is.
right. Like imagine Mark is like, oh well, I can't really eat, or I can't really, his body isn't processing. He's in the restroom. You know what I mean? Because it feels like his guts are being rearranged, like they were being manhandled. Like I don't know.
That missed
They're
opportunity.
lacking. They're lacking a lot of depth. That's my big thing.
Where did we
I don't
like?
think this episode should have been as long as it was.
Where did we like the cliffhanger and the ending, and where we're basically going to be heading for season 5?
I mean, again, it's just one of those things where like, if you read the comics, you know what's coming, you know what's gonna happen, and it's just another one of those. Oh, dude, we're getting crazy. It's gonna get crazy. Alan and the Scourge virus, and it's gonna be crazy. I can't keep riding that ride.
Right.
That sign isn't gonna attract me anymore. I need a trailer or something. I can't keep being told like, oh, it's gonna get fucking nuts, and it's like this is the fifth season.
To
How are we still riding this wave?
this day, I'm kind of upset that those like little teaser clips where like they're sitting in the little dining booth,
Yeah,
and like that shit looks way better than anything we've seen in any of these episodes, which is crazy.
exactly. We have shadows.
For
We
me, I
don't get
mean,
shadows.
for me, I do like the direction it's going, but like I told you, even from the beginning of this season, it's like everything is just gonna be half-assed. So we're gonna see them walk amongst the people. Like that's probably only gonna last for like an episode or two for season 5. So I mean, as much as I want to be excited for what kind of conflict that would cause for Mark and what it could do, I know a lot of people are just looking forward to like what Anissa's gonna do to him, and I'm like, you guys are
Freaks.
fucking weird, but that's okay. But it's I am I excited for another season of Invincible off this cliffhanger alone? No, unfortunately not. Especially with like the animation and everything. But I think I'm just kind of invested to the point where I'm gonna check in just to see what happens. But it's not like, oh, I'm dying for this next season, or I'm dying for something else to happen. It's down this line. Like we need better animation. The voice acting is kind of there, but the animation is just not gonna. It's not gonna help it out. It's not helping it out as of right now. Um, all in all, Josh, I mean, at least IMBD is claiming that episode 7 is the highest rated episode at a 9.9 out of 10. I mean, do we agree that that's the best episode of the season? Or if not, what's the best episode of the season for you?
I mean, are people only liking it because it's the culmination? Like it's the ending, like it's like the conflict. That's the big thing at the
I
end, and everyone
assume.
was kind of rooting for that.
I assume, and then obviously, like I said, I gotta be. I mean, if you for I guess people like the whole Thrag Omni Man fight and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like the whole face thing. Have we had better fights? In my opinion, yes. So I mean, I personally can't agree with this number, but I mean, what do you think?
I don't agree. I mean, it's cool. Like that's the thing. A part of me wants to like. This is the one part where I'm like, the boom bang pow stuff ain't drawing me in because it doesn't look colorful. It doesn't really move the needle. I have seen anime with better fucking like fight scenes and budget. You know what I mean? And it's just like no comparison. Like I can send you stuff and you'll be like, this shit's 110% on Invincible's animation. You know what I mean?
Mm. So
And
what?
like
So which one would be your best episode if this is not the best
my favorite,
from this season?
I okay, I if just because I enjoy everything up until the conquest stuff, I think I would probably give it to episode 5.
Five with Conquest
I
and
like I like yeah, I like Nolan and Debbie talking and like the reuniting. I like this is where the conflict between him and Oliver starts, where he's like, "You didn't even want to come see me, this and that," and then you get the ending with Conquest. I think that was very satisfying. I think that was cool.
yes to all of that, and I gotta agree with you. I personally think it's not the best episode of the series, but at least for this season, I do enjoy it a lot better than what we got with episode 7. Obviously, exactly what you named as well. But I gotta add as well, the tension between Conquest and Invincible was great, especially what happened at the end of season 3. Like that tension was amazing, and I feel like I personally thought that we were gonna start at that point in the beginning of this season. Like basically, you know, episode 1 was gonna be like a setup of Conquest and kind of like that rematch that's gonna happen because he survived, but they kind of saved that for midway, which is funny to me. But I personally, that I gotta say, that's got to be my favorite one. Even the fight scene, even though I gotta say it was kind of lackluster that they kind of made him choke him out for him to die. I thought they were gonna give him a bigger beat down before it was just gonna be like clamped on, locked on kind of thing. But I mean, I enjoyed what we got for the most part.
Yeah, basically.
So, uh, Josh, I mean, I kind of gave my thoughts on what can possibly be better. You agree with me for season 5? CGI got to get better. We got to
I mean, yeah,
obviously don't go corner
animation
on
really has to
animation,
get better.
right?
Right. Give me substance with an actual fucking plate, and that's all I ask for. Like shadows, bare minimum. Impact frames. I'm not saying throw them in every fight, but come on, you should not be fucking jumping ship or jumping, out of your seats for right at the end when it happens. You know what I mean? Like, no, we should have been getting that up until that point.
Hmm.
I don't know. What people eat up sometimes will always baffle me, but animation needs to get better. They need to cut they need to cut people. They need to cut hard acting people. Like if I hear they get Bryan Cranston for next season, yeah, no. We're getting a bunch
Yeah.
of
Apparently
fucking
that's what
sticks,
his
you know what I mean?
that's like on his wish list or whatever. It's like
Exactly. And he ain't gonna be cheap about it either. So we're getting fucking stick figures for sure.
they're like we got the drawings. That's about it. We couldn't really animate him. But Bryan Cranston
Exactly.
did say the lines during lunch, and I just kind of recorded it while he was sitting across from the dinner
All
table.
right.
Um,
Salad all up in his teeth.
right. um, Josh, how would you rate this season? 1 through 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, 5 being in the middle.
I'm still not moved. I mean, I don't think it's like it's not my favorite season. I think if we were to rank them, I don't think this even comes close to like top 2. So it was average. I think everything. I like the Viltrumite stuff. I think I care more for Nolan's little episode than I do for Thrag's little arc and or origin, whatever. I mean, I probably give it like 6 out of 10.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I mean just that too. Like I said, I don't think we have a review for the first season. So, I mean, either we'll do that as a full episode or we'll probably just do a review for all of them and kind of rank them as we see fit. Maybe we'll do a rewatch of all of the seasons and just kind of give it a bundle go, right? Give it a bundle go. But season 4, shit. It just sucks because, like I said, we had the highest highs with season 1. And then season 2, for at least personally for me, season 2, you know, trying to be meta gummed up the works with the whole animation thing, which kind of made a lot of the fandom start watching, the animation and what's basically happening. By season 3, it kind of felt exactly what people were saying, like they're joking with us and all that stuff. I mean, you get some good stuff here and there or whatever. We're here at season 4, and I'm assuming that like I said, we're into this show already. We should be at the point where we're getting pretty much decent to pretty much great stuff. You know what I mean? Like there shouldn't be there shouldn't be this weird disconnect, and there shouldn't be people online being able to nitpick your animation because you know, apparently cannot pay your animators that much. When we get around to it, it's gonna be interesting where I kind of put this season when we rank them all together. But at least for myself, I gotta give this one at least a five. I could rewatch it again, but it's just not my. I don't think it's my favorite right now. I don't know. Maybe when I rewatch the seasons, I want to say season 2 kind of hurts a little bit more, but I gotta rewatch them. I gotta give this a 5.
Okay, so we're like in the same ballpark.
It's Invincible. It's Invincible. It is what it is. But let us know what you guys think. Check out the season 4 Invincible episodes. There's 8 of them. We're gonna be getting season 5 pretty soon. Hopefully, the animation gets better. We get better, you know, acting scenes, at least in animation, and it's not just, you know, behind the head and whatnot, blah 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 blah. We're hoping for great things when it comes to this show. We're not here to shit on it. Like I said, I was a fan in the beginning. Unfortunately, it seems like these seasons have been kind of cutting me down every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But let us know what you guys think. Josh, let them know where they could talk to us about topics we should be talking about, movies we should be reviewing, TV shows. They want to hear their voice on one of these episodes. Josh, go ahead.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. Post on episodes wherever you can hit us up there. For news and movies who wants to cover, Buzzsprout, link the social sites gave you. It's like a Patreon. You subscribe. You have a show go. Greatly appreciate it. Listen to us anywhere you get your podcast at FilmBros Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Again, wherever you get your podcast. Be part of the conversation. Twitch at FilmBros Podcast. And when it's all said and done, subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast.
And with that being said, we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.